to the Rams Talk preview show. We're here today, the morning after Oxford away. So I'm struggling a little bit, but thankfully I've got someone with me who's not and can tell us all about Peterborough United. I've got Toby from the Boro On My Mind podcast. Toby, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Thank you. Wish I'd got in earlier than about 2 o'clock in the morning, but we'll fight on. We'll fight on. So just to kick us off, Toby, I just want to ask a little bit about Peterborough in general. Now, start of the season, obviously we'll get onto the game between us earlier on in the season. It seemed a little bit like you're in a little bit of disarray. Yet here we are. It's we're going into the new year. We're both level on points, both level on goal difference, third and fourth in the league. Tell us all about the season so far.
Well, first of all, we didn't expect this to happen. Us as fans, all thought mid-table. We thought we'd be nowhere near the playoffs where we are because of the players we lost. We just didn't expect it all. So it was just a surprise. We started the season quite well. We got a few clean sheets, and then we just went through a bad run. 3 or 4 games, didn't pick up anything. But I don't know what's happened. To be honest, we just turned the corner, and all of a sudden, we're on fire, playing good football.
No, it sounds quite familiar. That I think we're pretty similar to that too. But I mean, when you look at the games you've got so far, I mean, I'm looking at your recent form. Last 5 games, you've got 3 wins, 2 draws. I mean, a 3-0 win at home to Oxford is probably the highlight I can see there. What is it about the team that's changed that's helped you go on this run of form?
I think personally, I think it's had to get Piranha in the middle. I think him being in the team is a massive, massive difference. Just the way we play, because we go out and he's the outlook into attack. You know what I mean? Like, he separates the defence to the attack, gets switches the ball, and we saw that yesterday in the first half. He didn't play because resting his legs for you lot. And you could see we got the ball and we just didn't know what to do. There was no plan with it. So I think he's massive to the way we play. To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest. He's not a player I've come across before. I'm just having a little look through the squad list here. What sort of role does he play?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What role? Just
sort of in the middle of the park. What sort of midfielder is he?
he just loves being on the ball. He literally just gets the ball from a defence and just switches it to attack. He always passes forward. He's literally just wingers forward all the time. He just links them. He's a linker. I don't know if that's the word, but he's a linker.
No, I like it. I like it. And right, we have to talk about it, don't we? The game at your place earlier this season. I was lucky enough to be there. Really, really weird game. You go 1-0 up very early on through Jonson Clarke-Harris, who had a bit of a muted celebration. I think he was supposed to leave, wasn't he? And he looked like a man. Yeah, he looked like a man who was going to leave. And then all of a sudden, Derby turn it on, score 4 goals in about 20 minutes and end up winning the game 4-2. I mean, as a Peterborough fan, what was your taking from that?
We just didn't know what happened. It was one like you said, 1-0 up, 20 minutes, it was 4-1 down. I was like, well, what's happened here then? It was literally just looked like every shot you had just went in. Just Martin Margot just don't know what happened to him. He just turned into prime Ronaldo, didn't he? It was just ridiculous, that game.
Yeah, he certainly did. He doesn't play like that normally, so I wish he'd do that more. It'd be nice. Although apparently he's supposed to come back from injury against you guys, so you never
Oh,
ever know.
fantastic.
Yeah, I know. Good news. You might end up seeing that sort of form again. But I guess looking back at that game, and you look at some of the goals that we scored. We scored a couple of goals from set pieces. Is that necessarily a weakness for you guys, or was that just a one-off?
I don't really know. I don't really remember conceding many goals from set pieces this season, so I think it might have just been a one-off. I think we've held that situation quite well this season, to be fair. But ever since we played you, we haven't lost at home. We're unbeaten at home since Derby. So something must have clicked. Something must have worked. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, again, we're quite similar. I don't know if we lost at home since we lost to Oxford all that time ago, and now all of a sudden, yeah, we've turned that around as well. So there's quite a lot of similarities between the two teams. But I've mentioned it already, talking about previous fixtures. But there was a fixture last night which you were telling me about just before recorded because I missed it because I was too busy driving back from Oxford. And that's the Barnsley game. And you say you were 2-0 down, pulled it back to 2-2. What happened in that one?
It was just messing around at the back, mate. It was just not hoofing the ball when we needed to. Keeper had a few mistakes. Then he went off injured. I don't know if he'll start against Derby. Yeah, it's just not concentrating. Just hoop the ball and we're 2-0 up. You know what I mean? But it's just not concentrating and we just lost it.
Yeah, I mean, you did manage to pull it back to 2-2 though. Jonson Clarke-Harris with a brace. I've noticed he's not really featured that much this season. I don't know whether that's because of what was going on over the summer, but he did start. He scored 2 goals. Can you see him being integral to the way you're playing, or can you see him being on the way out?
I think it's pretty much certain he's on the way out. Even from his reaction yesterday, he walked the whole lap of the ground, clapping all of us. I think the only reason he did start yesterday because it would have been his last game. I don't even think he travels to Derby on New Year's Day, to be honest. I think he's already agreed a deal. But yeah, he hasn't been playing for us because we need to get used to not having him in the team. You know what I mean? So Ricky J. Jones is doing quite well recently. He's been scoring goals, but the difference we play with Ricky on the pitch and John on the pitch is ridiculous. The 2 completely different ways of football.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm just looking at your top performers and top scorers. I mean, you've got some big names in there. I mean, you've got Mason Clark, who's got 8 goals already. You've got Kwame Poku, who scored against us earlier in the season. Obviously, Jonson Clarke-Harris himself. You've got some really good forwards in this team, and that's always been Posh's thing, hasn't it? You've always had really good attackers, score loads and loads and loads of goals. Out of those, which is sort of the standout for you?
Mason Clark, mate, he's unreal. Wherever he touches, he just drives at the players. He's just unreal. But he's a danger man, I reckon. If you want to mark a player out of the game, if you mark Mason Clark out of the game, we don't get a win. It's as simple as that. He's so important to the way we play. He's unreal.
Which side does he play on? Is he left or right winger?
Trying to think. I think he's right. I think he is right.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be interesting then. Him against Fozzie will be a good battle. Fozzie held off Oxford quite well last night. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one. That'll be an interesting one.
Got the score sheet as well, didn't he?
He did. It doesn't happen very often. He hit the bar as well. He's on a roll at the minute. But I mean, looking at the other attackers, I mean, Kwame Poku is one that I picked out before the last game, and I watched him a couple of times. I don't know, is he a full international for Ghana yet? He's got to be getting close.
I think he's played a few games here and there.
Yeah, and he looked really dangerous. Obviously, scored against us. What can we expect from him?
I think it's just creativity in the middle. I think he's very good at passing, dribbling. He's very good, but I think he gets the ball and passes looks for Mason Clark. So I think it just goes back to him, to be honest. But you'll do very well to keep Poku and Mason Clark out of the game on Monday.
Yeah, well, let's hope from a Derby perspective that we definitely can. And I mean, overall, I mean, we've spoken a little bit about Peterborough already, but what's the feeling like at the club? Because like you said, it's at the start of the season, you expected mid-table. Obviously, your top scorer was supposedly on the way out, and like you say, you think he probably is on the way out. You've had to change the way you play to accommodate that. What's the sort of feeling around the fan base at the moment?
We're buzzing, mate. We're taking every game by game because, like we said, we didn't expect to be here. We are all, even on Posh Twitter, we're all just looking forward to the next game because the way we're playing is very, very good. But we ain't seen this football for so many seasons with Posh, and because we're so young as well, we can help learn it quicker. It's a very, very good feeling, and we're all buzzing for Derby away. I'm telling you that, oh, mate, it was
good. No, I can imagine, mate. And you talked about playing the way you're playing. How is it that you're playing? What is it that you're doing that's so exciting?
Just pass and move. This is why I was so surprised yesterday because we got the ball and there was no plan. But recently we got the ball, passed quickly, 1-2s around the players, switch to play. It's very, very good to watch. But yesterday it was just completely different. Mainly first half, to be honest. First half we were dreadful.
I mean, you've spoken about the way you play. A lot of teams, I mean, those included, change the way they play home and away. When we're at home, we tend to be more expansive. We play out from the back a lot more, and we're a lot more attacking. Whereas away from home, we're maybe a little bit more defensive, and we try and go a little bit more direct. Is there a change in your approach depending on if you're home or away?
I've not noticed one. I don't know if there is, but from watching, I ain't really noticed a change. No.
That's quite interesting, actually. I think it kind of sums up the league a little bit, doesn't it? Because, yeah, a lot of the teams in this league just can't defend whatsoever, I've noticed, which is, yeah, very beneficial for both of our teams, I think. But when you look at the team, obviously every team has its strengths, every team has its weaknesses. Obviously, last 2 games, you've had 2 draws. What are the weaknesses of this Peterborough team? What is it that sort of, I guess, opens up the team to possibly losing or drawing?
If the other team presses against us, we cannot deal with press, and I don't know what it is. We just crumble under pressure. But yeah, I don't know if you are a pressing team. I didn't watch much Derby this season apart from that's not a good sign. But if you just couldn't press at us, well, it won't be a pretty sight. Like Barnsley, they pressed us 2-0 down. It's as simple as that. We just can't. Luckily, we could have gone back from it. But you know, Derby's a different question as well. Pride Park as well. It's a sellout and all, so it'll be
pretty much.
I don't know.
I mean, when you talk about pressing, Toby, and what is it about the pressing? Is it, do you try and play out from the back and you just end up making mistakes because you're under pressure? Is it that sort of thing?
Yeah, we love playing out from the back, which I don't like because I'm watching on. It's terrifying, isn't it? But now we do love playing from the back, and then we lose it in the box, and it's a 2v1 because they've got 2 attackers and there's no defenders back. But no, it'll be all right. It's just pressure's tough. Yeah. Struggle.
Yeah. I've got to hope from a Derby perspective we've still got enough in the legs, because I think we were pressing in the 97th minute against Oxford in their own penalty area. So if we can carry on that sort of energy, it'd be good. I can see a lot of changes for us. And speaking of, I mean, obviously it's been quite a heavily congested Christmas period. We've played a lot of games in not a lot of time. Derby have been pretty much unchanged throughout that whole period. And you can see sort of 50th, 60th minute yesterday, sort of legs were getting a little bit tired. Max Bird looked like he was running through sand for the last 30 minutes because he'd run himself into the ground over the last few games. You talked about a couple of players earlier that had sort of been rested for different games. Can you see any changes to the team coming?
I can. Yesterday we had 3 or 4 changes, and then Ajboy come in, Katongo come in, and then Jono started. I see them all coming out on Monday, and it'll be the team he played against Shrewsbury. I think it was bar Billa Capic, because he went off. Our keeper went off. I don't know what the injury is, but if he's not playing, then it'll be Finn Titley in goal, and then I'll full strength outfield.
Yeah, you talk about your substitute goalkeeper. Is he any good?
Yesterday was the first time I seen him. I saw it. Well, we played Salford away in the cup, but I was working, so I couldn't make it. And then we played him against Arsenal Academy, which you can't really base him off.
No,
but it was the first time in the league yesterday. But he didn't make any mistakes. He made a few decent stops. So I don't know.
It's a good start.
It's not a bad start, no.
It is definitely a good start. And just sort of looking, I've not got many questions left. We've flown through this one today. But looking at Derby, I mean, obviously we're in a good run of form as well. When you look at Derby's team, what sort of player or players are you most concerned about and think could cause the most damage to this Peterborough team?
Mendes Langler was playing against us. He loves it against Posh. Martin Wagon, if he starts, and I also think Joe Ward's got a point to prove as well. I don't know if he's been starting for you lot, but last 2 games at home, he's pulled a couple of penalties, hasn't he? So
he has.
I wouldn't mind if he did that again.
No, yeah, Ward's been a strange one for us. He was injured when he came in pretty much straight away. He came back, gave away 2 penalties in 2 games, but he put in a couple of good balls yesterday. He came off the bench. He's quite unfortunate that we've got 3 sort of right wingers / right wing backs that are absolutely brilliant. I think it'll be really unlikely that he starts, to be honest, because Ryan Niambi has looked superb since he's come in. And he's back from injury now. Played last night, which is good. I mean, let's have a little quick chat about Joe Ward, actually. I'm just quite interested. Derby fans haven't seen a lot of him. He got a lot of assists last year. I think he got 11, which is quite a ridiculous amount. He seems to have a really good delivery. What did you make of him at Posh?
I absolutely loved him at Posh. He was my favourite player for years. Like, I really, really enjoyed watching him. But then the last season, it was very good, but he just he really struggles in the back four. He's a wing back, not a right back.
I've noticed.
He's very good at going all forward, but he just can't defend, and he gives away sloppy penalties, like we saw in the playoffs last season.
Yeah,
and now we get you at Derby, so it's a mix. I don't really know how Posh fans are going to treat him. To be honest, there could be a few boos, collapse, even if we see him. I don't know, no idea.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure he'll come on. I'm sure Warren will put him on, which will be good. But right, one final question, Toby, which you know what's coming. I want your score prediction for the game. What are you thinking? New Year's Day, Derby v Posh.
I've been saying draw all week, but I know when it's match day. When it's match day, I don't get who we play. I always predict just to win. We could be playing prime like Chelsea under Mourinho. I'll say we'll win 1-0. Like it's just the way I am on match day. I think we'll nick it 2-1 on Monday. I do 2-1 Posh.
Well, I'm going to flip it and go the other way, which is the most boring answer, I know. But yeah, I think it'll be 2-1 Derby. It's going to be really close, isn't it? Regardless, it's going to be really, really close. It's two teams that are flying at the minute. So, I mean, we've won 8 in 9 now, which is ridiculous. And the only reason we haven't won 9 in 9 is because Joe Ward decided to side someone down in the 98th minute. So yeah, it's two teams in really good form. Toby, thank you very much for joining us. If people want to catch your stuff, where will they find you?
Boro On My Mind on YouTube. We post previews, post matches, even chucking a few Sunday Night Lives in there as well. Just a couple of mates talking about the club we love. So yeah, check us out there. Thank you for having me on, mate.
Yeah, no worries at all, Toby. So yeah, if you did enjoy, please do leave a like if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, Apple Pods, give us a rating. That'd be nice. If you're not subscribed already, please do. That'd be very welcome. But yeah, thank you very much. Let's hope for a good game. Let's hope for a Derby win, Toby. That's what we want, isn't it? He's shaking his head. And yeah, cheers, Toby, for coming on. And everyone have a great new year.